I've been a long fan of Kyle's, followed his channel. He comes out with great content, and I was just inspired by his journey. I'd love him to share a little bit about himself, his journey, and I hope this could help loan officers and lenders, especially loan officers who are scared of jumping into building more of their own content.
Sure. Kind of in a nutshell, I run a YouTube channel called Win the House You Love, primarily focused on home buying education for first-time home buyers. So people going from renting to they want to buy their first home. But the challenge that most of the people that I'm serving are facing is uh, h- getting a loan or getting a mortgage seems overwhelming. The numbers seem confusing, and so the channel is oriented around that. And so I'm also licensed federally, so I'm working all 50 states. So I started originating uh, 4 years ago, I think, somewhere around there. And just originated in like a couple states, mainly worked with realtors locally, and which is not always, groveling for like a realtor's business is not the most fun thing in the world. The amount of times I've had like coffee with realtors at 5 a.m. and get nothing from it, really sucks. So during that process, I was like, how do I build trust? How do I like show people that even, when I started being like 22 or 23, that like I know what I'm talking about, which in the beginning I didn't. But like going through the process and learning more about loans, it's like, how do I communicate that, I am somebody who can help you, your clients. I can help, and to the clients, like I can actually help you close a loan and understand this process better. So I started making videos just as like I wanted to create like a library for people to understand more about the home buying process, because it is overwhelming. And I think a lot of people in like the sales world, they kind of everything's oriented around like you should have a phone call with me so I can close you into something. And my approach was more, how do I show you that I'm an authority on this topic? I'm going to give you everything I have, everything I know for free. And then when you're ready to make the decision, you can call me and we can begin working. But I don't want to have the same phone call about what an appraisal is or what's the minimum down payment on a conventional loan like 100 times. It gets really exhausting. So I made like a library of videos on YouTube. And then eventually those just kind of started picking up traction. YouTube showed those videos to more people. And then over about 2 years, the channel grew a lot. Now it has around 135,000 subscribers. And I think it's somewhere around like 8-ish million views with all the videos together. So now I primarily focus on the education side and then work with a team of loan officers who help our clients who watch those videos actually get pre-approved and look at quotes and answer their questions.
Wow, that's incredible. I started following you around 60,000.
Yeah,
So you literally picked up. That's incredible. That is so incredible. So what video do you think, how was there an inflection point? Like my husband's sister, she had one video that just picked up millions of views. She literally had like under 200 subscribers. She made one video, picked up millions of views, and literally got thousands of subscribers off of just one video.
yeah,
Did you have that, like, I guess they call it going viral, right? Did you have like that kind of inflection point?
sure.
Was it one video or is it types of videos? Like at what point, I guess, what helped you like pick up the viewing of your videos?
Yeah, I probably made around maybe like 70 to 100 videos before I made like an FHA loan requirements video. And that for some reason YouTube loves that video. And I
It
don't
suggests to me all the time, still that video, by the way.
yeah, it's all my friends are like they're annoyed because they're like, we keep seeing that video. And I don't know what it is. And like other creators have made, they see that that one did well and they make FHA loan requirements. And it for some reason YouTube likes the combination of me presenting that video for whatever reason. And so that, I think that one of those crossed like 1 million views just on that one video and is like responsible for thousands of subscribers directly. So, but the reason I don't know why that worked. I wish I could find out because I would do it over and over and over again. Um, but I think what I mainly learned from that is before I made a video that was like loan requirements based, I none of those videos really existed on YouTube. There wasn't like an
Hmm.
hour-long video on FHA loan requirements. And I
Mhm.
was like, I have a crazy idea. I'm gonna make a really long video that details like all the loan requirements. Because if I was a buyer and someone was like, here's an FHA loan, I was like, I want to make a video that I would watch. So I presented it in a way that I would want to watch it. And I think what I found is it's not like there's one specific topic or there's one style that works. All
Mhm.
different types of topics, styles, presentation formats work on YouTube. I think it's more about like, does it resonate with you? Is it authentic to you? People pick up on that, and that's what grows. And so, what I think I found through making a video like that is my presentation style is geared really well towards like having a slide deck on the side. I talk through requirements, and that's about it. Like it's kind of just very
Dry
like
dry in many
yeah
ways. Like, you think of it as dry, but if people
yeah
really wanna learn that, they're interested, you
yeah.
know?
There's no goal for entertainment in any of my videos, but which is funny because like you see a lot of people who will talk about making YouTube videos, and they're like, they have to be entertaining and engaging and all this stuff. And I think that like you could do that and that can work. But if it's not authentic to you, then it's not going to work. If I was trying to make, like engaging content or like funny content or like it wouldn't be authentic to the way that I present this kind of information. And so I don't think it would resonate. In a similar way where like I think you just as you make more videos, you get to find out like how do I present and what resonates with the way that I create things and how people perceive me. And I think when those begin to align is when that like those videos really start doing well because like you find your audience and YouTube kind of picks up on that and will show it to more people.
Yeah, and YouTube starts to understand who is your type of follower too, and they help
Yeah.
show it, you know?
Yeah. I think of it like if you were going to give a presentation in person, like
Mhm.
what would you do in person? Because the YouTube algorithm functions like a human in a very strange way where it like understands how people are interacting with you, and it's not based on like just numbers. We think it's like very clinical. The AI is like really well designed to interpret things like a human. And so like if you were going to give a presentation in person, would people connect with you in person? If so, then the goal is like how do I translate that to video? So
Mm.
I don't want to come across on video in a way that I wouldn't come across in person because those like YouTube won't pick up on that.
Interesting. That's interesting. I do know that when I speak about stuff in my house, the next thing I know, I'm getting YouTube ads about it. And I'm just like, "Oh my god, what the heck?"
Yeah.
Were you just naturally comfortable posting content, like, on
Mhm.
YouTube? Were you naturally comfortable? Because for me, for example, I feel very comfortable having this conversation with you. You know what scares the bejesus out of me? I am so scared to post video content on LinkedIn.
Mm.
I'm so like I don't know. I'm like, oh my God, these are all like people I went to business school with, professional contacts. Like, they're gonna judge me. Whereas for me, it's
Yeah.
very easy on YouTube because I just have some random people subscribe or follow or whatever. And to me, it's just
Yeah.
to me, that's like less of a risk than like having someone I went to school with or I'm professionally connected with judge my content. Like, to me, that feels scary. So I'm just like wondering, and I know that's a common feeling with a lot of people who want to make content. There's like a lot of fear. Like, do I have to think about it? Like, do I need to think about it? Do I need to super plan? Do I need to get like this uber professional editor? Do I need to get all this special equipment? They just start going like overboard and crazy
Well,
figuring
and to be fair, I haven't posted any stuff on LinkedIn. Have I? I don't think so. But I can definitely like imagine when it's people it's
out.
there's that added layer of like, oh my gosh, they definitely are gonna judge judge me for this. Before I started posting on YouTube, because even posting on YouTube was like kind of terrifying to think about. I made a lot of BombBomb videos, and like BombBomb is just like a
Yeah.
one-to-one video software. There's tons of free ones like Loom and
Yeah.
Whiskey a Soapbox and stuff like that. And I would do a lot of personalized videos. Anytime I would give a pre-approval quote, I would just give just a quick video. It's like, hey John, I sent over this quote. I want to walk through it with you. something like that. Or anytime I was introducing myself to a realtor, send a video. Anytime I
Mhm.
send a loan estimate, send a video. Anytime I
Mm.
uh, ask for conditions, send a video. Closing disclosure,
Mhm.
but like to the point where every client would get like 4 to 5 videos through working with me, but it like kind
It's
of set me apart.
personalized. It's
Yeah, it was
also very
personal.
personalized, yeah.
Yeah, like I would have clients who would go to the closing table and the closer would ask like, "Oh, did you see these numbers?" And like, "Yeah, Kyle sent us a video on it." Like they're like talking about what I'm sending them like to multiple realtors and like other people and like it's a really great way to stand out. And also I got to practice video. So I probably made somewhere around like 800 to 1,000 bomb videos before I made a YouTube video. So I think
Oh.
personalized is a really good way to like practice just being on video and being comfortable with like, yeah, I'm going to send this to you and you're going to see it and like I messed up and no one really cares.
Yeah, because it's more like a conversation at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's not really, yeah.
Yeah, no one, no, like I think you kind of realize like your brain gets trained to realize like, oh, if I stumbled or whatever, you didn't email me back and we're like, haha, you tripped over your words. Like you don't care. You're kind of, it's kind of nice to see someone else who, fumbles through things or, it's not super polished and practiced. So, um, I did that. And even then when I was posting on YouTube, it still was like, when I looked back to my beginning videos, they're cringy to watch because I'm like, ooh, I look so uncomfortable. Like, and I can remember recording those and you're sitting there. It's just so awkward, but it's really the repetition that makes it a lot better, and especially feel better to you. Just because it's the same thing with everything. Like I've never skied, so if I go try to ski, like I'm gonna fall down like a bit, and that's why I'm not gonna go ski, just because I'm afraid of that. But like it'd be crazy for me to expect that I would ski well. It'd be even crazier if like the first time I went to go ski, I bought like really expensive equipment.
I
Right? And
love
I
this
went to the
analogy.
best and I went to, like, the best slope. I don't even know if that's the right thing. But, like, it'd be crazy, but that's what people do with video. They're like, "I need to go do all the research and buy the best equipment and get all like, a whole team of people to edit stuff and, uh, all this," and then they show up and then they make, a couple of videos and like, "Oh, those didn't really do well." Like, well, like, it's practice. You buy
Right,
the equipment as you go. Um,
right,
and
right.
everyone has an iPhone, like, just start there. Uh, and a friend of mine started making a YouTube channel. And he made 20 videos and then was like, "Where's everyone at? Get back to me when you've made like 100 videos. Then we can talk about like strategy." But like you have to practice that to be able to get to a point where you're like, okay, here's how I can strategize to get better. I can get a better equipment. I can try editing in different ways. But if you don't have the muscle of training yourself to be on video
Mm,
or just to be somebody who creates content,
mhm,
you're not going to like shortcut it by getting a better camera or by
mm.
editing in a certain way or any of these other things that we do to avoid just making content to begin with.
Man, I love what you're saying. I'm taking part in a challenge. It's called 100 to 2023. And
Okay.
it's a challenge by mostly LinkedIn creators. That they're gonna post for every day. It's 100 days until 2023, and they're just gonna post every day, and they're just gonna do it, right? And then they're gonna look at the analytics and figure out like what type of post performs well, what hours of the
Yeah.
day possibly performs better. But like it's exactly what you're saying. It's like just do it. Like just do it. Don't overthink today's post. Just do something to get it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not gonna be perfect. And so I'm doing that to like get up my courage. On LinkedIn and hopefully helped on the LinkedIn on the YouTube side. On the YouTube side,
Yeah.
I just have been less. Anyways, it's inspiring because now it makes me think, oh man, I should be trying to improve my YouTube because I think I've done enough content. Now I just need to try to figure out
Yeah.
how to make it better. You know?
It takes the pressure off. I think when you make content less frequently, you expect all those pieces of content to perform well because you're not
Mhm.
posting frequently. So if I post once a month, my expectation is that video needs to do really well because that's the
Right.
only video that's doing work that month, right? That's a lot of pressure to put on the video, and then you make less and less and less because there's more pressure and you feel like there's more at stake.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
if you switch it around to like what you're saying, is like make it into a challenge or just make it into like I'm going to post every single weekday until 2023, and just not for any result to happen. Like if no result came of it, great. The only result I want is to convince my brain that it's not that big of a deal, and to
Mhm,
like
and
convince
do
myself that like I can post something every day, and I don't like they don't need to be that important.
right.
Because usually the videos that like what I found, the videos that I put less effort into usually do better, which is really annoying. Seems like the more pressure I put on myself, the more work I put into a video, the worse it performs.
That's interesting. That's so interesting. So yeah, it is. I mean, I genuinely I feel like I was telling you about, and maybe it's also the kind of content that you don't plan and you're just naturally presenting at people like viewing more. Like I was telling you before I hit record on this video that I feel that I naturally connect to student loan borrowers. Like I
Mhm.
naturally connect. They want to hear my information, what I have to say about student loans, the strategies, the updates, the latest, whatever, right? But so many, we get so many student loan borrowers through lenders, and I want to start making content for lenders and loan officers, and or make a decision, right? Or do I want to
Yeah.
also just make better consumer content that lenders can now share with their consumers so that they can have that information. So as they plan to buy a house, they get over the anxiety and all the issues they have around this hugest amount of debt that they have and can feel prepared or whatnot, right? Like, what are you seeing? And what advice, we talked about this a little, what advice would you give lenders or loan officers who didn't have that many issues speaking to consumers when rates were low, and now are even for the first time experimenting with like paid ads because they just don't have channels where they've had connections? Like, what would you say, like what are you seeing, and if you were in that position, what would you invest in doing now, you know? I
Yeah.
just want to hear what you have to say, because obviously you invested a lot of time in building your audience. Is now a good time to start doing that? Is now a good time to start speaking even to bars who aren't ready? I just want to hear what your insights are and what you're seeing.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the paid side, so it's possible that that's gonna be completely different than what I'm talking about. Because 'cause I'm more familiar with, like, the organic side,
Right, right.
posting on YouTube, and YouTube's just naturally showing that to people,
Mm,
um, just based on the size of the audience. But I feel like what I've been noticing a trend of is, home buyers in general are already, like, a fairly jaded group, like, not
mhm,
trusting of, realtors and lenders, and rightfully so. Like, we had a
mhm,
pretty large housing crash because of greedy
mhm.
people not too long ago. Um,
80% of our generation, by the way, I don't know if you know, 80% of our generation do not trust lenders.
makes total sense. And if I wasn't, like, in the loan officer world, like, I probably wouldn't either.
Yeah.
It's since I know how it works, like, I know how
Mhm,
to navigate it better. And so because of interest rates increasing and what's been happening with housing inventory, um, there's extra pressure where it used to be like it was a lot easier to get a home that you wanted for a price that made sense, for a monthly payment that worked, with still the struggle of like, okay, do I trust this loan officer? Do I like, is this how this works? But now there's extra pressure of homes are becoming unaffordable.
mhm,
The pressure of like competitiveness is lightening up, but the home prices are still high. And so
mhm,
like there's this added tension, I think, to how people are feeling. And what I'm noticing, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, before like you press record, is like there's a lot of, I feel like, companies trying to strategize how to get people into homes in creative ways. And while I don't think it's
mhm,
wrong, like there's
mhm,
strategies that everyone should have access to and explore,
mhm,
but I'm seeing loan officers take the strategy of how do I get you in a house?
mhm,
But they're not empathizing with how hard it is or the
mhm,
experiences that people are facing with buying a home. So my approach to content has been more so that like I feel like if I respect the person who's watching the video and where they're at, that my goal or my thought process is like they'll respect me, and if they like me, they'll work with me. I don't
mhm,
wanna have to, like, convince somebody, though, to, in the midst of, like, they're seeing a payment that they don't know if they can afford, they're seeing how high interest rates are becoming compared to, what they were, just even like a month ago.
Yeah,
uh,
inflation, gas prices, I mean, everything.
yeah, and it's like I would go more towards how do I communicate that I understand the issue that somebody is, how difficult it is to buy a home, and how do I help you navigate that world, rather than just, the solution isn't just here's a program that you should get into to buy a house. uh, Especially when those programs to me feel a little bit disingenuous, like 2-1 buy downs. Those are strategies that somebody could use, but people are pitching them as like, here's a solution. Just, you'll get it lower for the first year, and then the second year will be a little bit higher, and then third year, maybe you can refinance. I don't know. Like that's the solution.
Right,
Like, that's the
right,
solution.
right.
Or people wrapping it up in a nicer package than what I'm doing, because I just not a huge fan of those programs, long term for people. Um,
It's
so
kind of like, in many ways, it's kind of like a balloon mortgage, but it's called something else.
yeah,
Like, right? Because it balloons. Like, they don't want to call
it's like
it
a
that,
balloon rate of sorts.
right? Because of how negative, like the concept of a balloon is. But in many ways, it's going to balloon at some point, right?
Yeah, and as a whole, like it's not the strategy itself is just the strategy. Like there's no moral,
Right,
you know,
right, right.
thing to it. And like for the right person, it can be a good strategy. Um, I just think what is happening is like instead of loan officers or realtors pushing into actually being empathetic to the clients that they're serving, they're going on the sales side. And I
Mm,
feel like just good long-term sales involves actually helping people and not convincing people to do something. And so
mm.
I feel like I'm seeing more of the, oh my gosh, sales are down. Let's convince more people by coming up with creative stuff rather than how do I help more people? Because these programs are, 2-1 buy downs have existed for a long time, right? They're not new, but people are coming out and like, here's this really interesting program, like it's like this feels a little disingenuous, to get people, to actually help them accomplish what they want to accomplish.
Yeah, I've seen people like, don't get your seller to reduce the house price right away. We can do this buy down program. Like, I'm like, why? But why isn't reducing the price a little, if you're representing the buyer, like, why is getting the price down for your customer not better? Like, I don't know. It's interesting what you're talking about, because yeah, I've definitely
Well,
seen that as well.
it's like it's math that for each scenario needs to be worked out with a calculator that can actually manage all the variables, like using a very specific mortgage calculator. But people are just like pitching them as like, here's high level bullet points, like
They're
lower
everywhere.
rate is
Yeah.
better. But there's a break even period where like,
Mhm.
yeah, for a lot of people during the first few years of owning a home, lowering the interest rate will save them more in interest than they would on a price reduction. But there's
Mhm.
a point at which, like, uh, it actually needs to be analyzed on a deal by deal basis and not just like
Mhm.
bullet points
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a 30-second Instagram reel.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. So, yeah, no, I totally get your strategy. I just want to, one of my final questions, because I want to be respectful of your time here. I just think if you're going to start a long-term strategy, you may as well start now when you have more time, right? Like, if you want to be in the industry, start now, because when the market gets good again, you'll
Yeah.
start having content
Well,
materials. But I just want to say I am empathetic is the point. I'm not
yeah.
trying to say we should come up with some magic bullet
Yeah.
point. It's a
Well,
magic solution.
and I will say, like, okay, video, especially on like platforms like YouTube, take a long time to see results. Like, it took me probably, I mean, months before I got like someone who was like, "Hey, wait, you do loans? Could you help me out?" Uh, but doing like those personalized videos, or even just posting videos on, I haven't done LinkedIn, but like LinkedIn, if that's where your audience is, or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever, like when I did videos like that, because I posted on Facebook, when I was doing that, and then a lot of personalized videos. The personalized videos got me way more business than YouTube did in the beginning, because
Mhm.
like the way realtors would pitch me as a loan officer is they'd be like, he'll send you videos, you won't be confused with the process, you'll understand the whole thing. And so like the
Mm.
video was a great personalized video was a great short-term strategy because no one else was doing it. Um, I still don't think a lot of people are doing it. We're
No,
like, in
Incredible.
a fairly, decent sized local market, you probably don't have a lot of people who are competing with you in doing that. And so I think that's a great way to both combine, like, do the short term side of doing, personalized video, or maybe, video on your, like, your local network, wherever you're at, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Um, but then also coupling that with, like, the long term strategy if you're pushing into, longer form content on something like YouTube, or maybe you're getting into blogs or something like that.
Yeah, I also suggest, like, I've seen loan officers, because we have webinar content. So take some of our webinar content and host a lot of get a lot of, like, they bring realtors together and they use our webinar
Mm,
content to talk about how we can help specific types of borrowers, right? So
yeah.
that's another strategy. So they use our webinar content to go out and educate realtors, and they also, then the realtors share that content with, like, student loan bars, for example, right? That's like it's like a way to help the realtor also help their consumer understand how to, like, close the business, things like
Yeah.
that. So there's various ways, like hosting webinars, or yeah, just like educational content that they help, like, they once a week they are going to do some type of topic, like how can we help first time buyers or whatever, that they invite realtor clients to, things like that. Like,
Yeah.
definitely creative ways to, like, help the realtor help educate the consumer so that they can all close together, kind of stuff, you know? But anyways,
Yeah. Well, and
nothing magic bullet for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and I think what you were talking about too with, like, the I think you said it was 100 days of 2023
Yeah,
thing. Like,
100, yeah, 100 days to 2023. It started probably like
yeah,
15 days ago. Yeah.
the amount of times I see people who, like, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna start posting stuff on," even if it's not video, but, like, they have some
Mhm,
marketing strategy that they're gonna do, even if it's phone calls. They're like,
mhm.
"I'm gonna call this many people a day," and they do it for, like, 3 days, and they're like, "Ah, it didn't work." Was that really enough time to
Yeah,
decide,
yeah,
like,
no, 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 it's not.
you
You need at least 100 days.
yeah, like, you need, even with the short term stuff, is like you need to come up with something that feels consistent, because people won't, like, be able, even have an opportunity to connect with you if it's not consistent. For instance, if you're trying to do a weekly webinar with realtors about market updates or program updates,
Mm.
or maybe you just want to have, like, a venting session together, like, great. But if you do it once a week and then 3 people show up, and then you don't do it again, because maybe week 2 only 2 people were interested, that wasn't, like, a good long-term thing. Who's gonna consistently come to something that only happened once or twice? Like,
Right, right.
do it for 10 weeks straight, and then look back and, like, then reevaluate, or do 100 videos and then evaluate, like, what worked, what didn't work, because the whole thing was an
Takes
experiment.
so much discipline. That's a thing, right? It just takes discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And in this world, it's easier to consume the content than to make it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so seriously, I love, for how many hours of YouTube I watch, how many do I produce? Like, oh my God, just the fraction, so it's so much easier to be the consumer than
I
the
know, I wish I could
creator.
lock down, like, the app to be like, "Don't, like, I have to record an hour to see an hour." One is the
Oh my
one.
God, then you could become a pro at that, right? No, it's been awesome, Kyle, to hear, some of your tips and advice. And I honestly very intrigued, even from like yeah, I just admire you. So just even just seeing how
Oh,
you've,
thank you.
yeah, how you have really, like, rocketed even your subscribers and seeing your content. I just really admire you, and so I always like to hear, because that's a number. Like, I hear it's just lead generation, such a huge struggle, and it seems like you've really mastered that in a very, like, genuine way to connect and educate. So I always like to highlight that, because that's what I am really passionate about on the student loan borrower front, and I hope that I can help people even leverage the content I'm producing to help get the word out, with all these forgiveness programs that are coming about, all
Yeah,
the
there's some
questions.
interesting stuff happening in the student loan world now.
I know there's a lot of questions coming about, and now is contacted by a huge, like, agency that oversees all these housing and credit counselors, nonprofit credit counselors, to educate them about the program updates, which happy to do, because I'm all about getting information out. So to see you genuinely, like, wanting to educate people and seeing it transpire into just really, like, in many ways, like a really robust lead generation business, is what I think everybody dreams about. But what does it take? It just takes a lot, you know? And
Mhm.
so I just wanted to have a conversation and share some of your learnings, so I can learn from it too, and thought I would record
Yeah.
and share. So thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.